Hello and a happy new year. We start 2023 with a full moon in the sign of the crab at 16 degrees and 21 minutes of the sign that is better known as Cancer. But I don't like that word, obviously, for the most obvious reason. So I prefer to call it the crab, okay? So 16 degrees of the crab, where does that fall in your chart? Look at the house it indicates, and then you'll know what is specific for you. Now, this is a full moon, so it is a completion. It is an end. It is a finalization. It is a realization. Something that maybe was hidden comes to light, right? Because the sun shines its light upon it through the reflection of our moon. So in the sign of the crab, we may find endings, finalizations, realizations around topics such as our home, our housing, about our comfort, about our security, about our emotional needs, about the theme of nurturing. The crab is sort of the archetype of the mother. So mothering, being mothered, being nurtured, being taken care of taking care of others, nurturing others. These themes are crab themes. And so with this full moon, these topics are under the spotlight, right? So our senses, our intuition, our sensitivity is heightened around this full moon, which happens January 6th of 2023. So the question is also about how we feel safe. The question is also about our need to be loved and how we want that. And also knowing that the needs around a crab theme are emotions, our feelings. Those are our primary needs: to feel good, to feel loved. And it's sort of the energy of looking for family, right? Now, as times have changed, so have the structures of a family, or what it means to have a family, or how a family looks, right? So all of this is under a magnifying glass right now. And, you know, due to the issues around this lunation that we'll get into, there is a great desire and push to know what those emotional needs are, how you want to be taken care of, or how you take care of yourself, right? And to think more about how you feel at home, what home means to you, maybe literally housing, or as I said, family, or how you want to create that for yourself. But with a full moon, these things are coming to a closure, right? They're coming full circle like the full moon. So there is an ending theme here. But as I always say, it's not just, you know, often we think endings are sad and they bring sorrow, which is true. You know, every ending deserves its grieving period. But specifically with a full moon, it can also be a celebration, an accomplishment, coming together, right? Coming together for that celebration. So this can also be where you achieve something that you want around these crab themes of home, care, safety, emotional needs, about your intuition, and stuff like that. So let's look at what the patterns are that this lunation is making. Well, naturally, because it's a full moon, the moon is opposite the sun, right? So you can see that in the chart. The easiest thing to find is the glyph, the symbol of the moon, which is like a crescent, right? Croissant, if you don't know what a crescent is. So you can find that in the chart, and then right opposite, you find a circle with a dot in the center, and that is the symbol of the sun, right? So that this is the full moon. Now, the full moon is making a triangle, a red triangle, which we call a T-square in astrology, towards Chiron. And Chiron is in Aries. It has been in Aries for a while, and it's representing really deep wounds. The wounds that are hard to overcome, that we struggle with most of our lives, but yet are designed to overcome. So no matter how hard they resurface and repattern in our lives, it is there to challenge us to move beyond those wounds, to find healing methods, to gain a higher perspective on those woundings, and then after becoming sort of a teacher, helping others heal what you have been through. Now, this is interesting. So this lunation, which means the sun is in Capricorn, the moon is in the crab, right? And then Chiron is in Aries. That's the T-square. So this is bringing up, I feel, the wounds of the crab theme. So it's wounding, of course, from childhood period most often. That is because the crab is not only home right now or family right now, but it's obviously the home and family that you grew up in, and therefore also means your childhood wounds, your psychological imprinting at a very young age. That also is represented by the crab. Now, since this is making a tough aspect, a conflicting aspect to Chiron, the wounds in Aries around the self, your identity, your body, your ability to take action, your ability for courage, and self-prioritization, okay? So there's a focus on this Chiron. This means that issues of childhood wounds around your identity, around courage, around how you see yourself is bubbling up, is coming to the surface. Have you felt safe in your childhood? Most probably not, says this lunation situation. How has your sensitivity been dealt with in the family? Probably not that good, because it's not the world we have been living in, right? How was your need to be loved? Was your need to be loved answered? How do you need to be loved? And just the connection between the old wounds and yet being able to know what you want, what you need, and to just have the bravery, like an Aries energy, to say, well, might not be nice, but this is what I want, and this is what I need, and hell, this is what I deserve, is eventually what Chiron and Aries can say and can do and can feel. But it will go through the wounds of why you haven't been able to do that and why that has been a struggle, right? So these lingering emotions can really come up during this time. You might feel more lonely than normal. You might feel the negative aspects of the crab, which can be abandonment, rejection, having to do it on your own. This can bring up pessimism, being too dependent and clingy on others. Also mood swings, moody, you know. Another beautiful thing that this lunation is making is a positive relationship with Uranus, who is currently retrograde in Taurus. But this means that Uranus is helping the tension here and is bringing in new ideas, enlightenment, and innovation, innovative thoughts, and genius ways of looking at how we can be more independent, how we can do more self-care, how to do it in our own way, you know, to be unique to ourselves, how to create our own possessions and finances to make it all real, and to also rethink our values and how that helps in taking care of ourselves, how that helps with our intuition, how that helps in creating our own home and family, right? So it just brings sort of a new touch to these themes. You know, these are very traditional themes, right? Home, family. We have very fixed ideas, perhaps, about those things. And I don't mean necessarily now, but you have to understand that things from the past obviously affect now. So these traditional values and ideas around family, home, have scarred a lot of people, right? So Uranus and Taurus is saying, well, create your own value system. Rethink what is important to you, and don't forget that your independence and your unique way of doing it on your own is beneficial, because it brings more solid structures that you can count on, and it just gives positive changes to our inner life as well. And since Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is love, and the crab is ruled by the moon, so it's quite comfortable in this lunation situation. But the crab is also represented not only by the uterus and breasts, which is very feminine, right? But also the heart, the motherly love, the unconditional care, right? So here you can find the theme of love as well, right? So this is also innovating how to love yourself, how to value yourself, and how to find that within a relationship, but specifically a home life, a home unit. So what we see as a family, right? And how is that now? How can that be different from what you've been through, and yet give that warmth and care and mutual support that we always think a family gives, but necessarily isn't, right? We all have our stories about our families. So it's restructuring those ideas and creating, well, ending a lot of these old patterns and ideas that do not serve, right? They do not serve a comfortable home life or a good family. There are things within those ideas, you know, family is an idea, a home is an idea, that until this lunation, obviously, you know, were hurtful if we, you know, take that Chiron thing in account as well. So Uranus here is saying, you know, let's end it. And I'm giving you, it's breaking it down, right? Uranus is breaking those old, stagnant ideas and conservative, traditional ideas down, and is saying, let's have a breakthrough and do it in our own unique, authentic way. So that's nice. Then the moon is also trining Neptune in Pisces. That's also nice. You know, they're both water signs, so working with water is great, obviously, around this lunation situation. This can, you know, bring in some fantasies and imagination and visions around these topics of home, family, security, intuition, you know, feeling loved and nurtured and taken care of. And you can imagine that and you can dream about that. The dream state will be important around this lunation situation. Truly, your dreams may have a strong message around this time, an insight into what this all means for you, especially on a like deeper level, right? This could also, from a very higher perspective, mean, well, you know, your real home and family is out of this world. And if you connect to your soul, your core, a lot of the earthly problems will have less control and hurt over you, because you can transcend, right? You can transcend those pains and problems because you're never alone. You're always guided and taken care of. And if you want to feel that more, then prayer, silence, meditation are great ways to increase that feeling of safe, secure, taken care of, loved, supported, right? Finding that in a more divine mother, right? So that's all the good things sort of about this lunation. Then slightly is the moon opposite Mercury, who is currently retrograde. Now, Mercury is our planet of our mind. It's how we think, how we communicate, how we write. It's also about mobility, technological devices. So be careful on what you write digitally or even analog. Be careful about how you communicate. Be selective of your words. Be careful of the details. You may overlook some things. This is not a great time to sign contracts or start something new. There are exceptions, but when these personal planets like Mercury and Mars currently at this lunation situation are retrograde, it is not a good time to move forward. This is an energy of slowing down for firstly, and then slightly looking backwards, meaning reflecting, reevaluating, about how you've been doing things. Mercury is about how you've been thinking. How your mind has been operating. In Capricorn, this is about how you have been thinking and, you know, how your mind has been operating around themes of success, of hard work, of long-term plans, of discipline, structure, and maturity over, you know, what you have to do in your life. So Mercury is going over these themes and being like, Mercury has been enlightened because this lunation happens right after a Sun-Mercury cazimi. That means that Mercury is in the heart of the sun and has just received just cosmic downloads, like higher consciousness, and is just looking at things from a very new perspective, which is really nice. So this is reevaluating our thoughts on success and stuff like that, right? And building strong foundations. Now it's opposite the moon in the crab. So this is like the toll of, you know, reevaluating the price of, you know, being too much, having too much energy on work, career, success, money, right? The top of things, reaching the top, being the best, being ambitious, and how that affects having a nice home life, having a nice family, or creating one for yourself in whatever way, right? So there's just a push-pull between how you feel about these topics, and on the other hand, how your mind is thinking about these topics. And you know, the moon is very emotional here. It's very emotional because the crab is very emotional, but a full moon is also like extra emotional. So we're having a lot of emotions here. But then Mercury is more rational here, and, you know, trying to be more logic, trying to plan and take things in order and discipline, and the moon is like, but I'm not feeling it, or I find other things important, is what the moon is saying. So here you might need to bring some extra restructuring to your mind and to your thought processes, because feeling good, feeling loved is very important. It's more important than anything. Also, I should add that the crab is quite private. This is a private energy, where Mercury in Capricorn is a public energy. So the moon is also saying go within, withdraw, and go into your private space where you're comfortable, and let go of your guard, right? To really go into the sensitivities. And, you know, the crab is representative of that gut feeling. You know, in other words, it's intuition. So this lunation is also saying that, you know, feel it in your gut, whatever decision you're making, whatever decision you want to make, feel it in that gut, you know. And if you're not feeling anything, then that's not the right choice. And just just like, because, you know, there are so many personal planets in retrograde, like Mars and Mercury, this is a slower time. So with this lunation, I would also say, like, just withdraw a little bit and, you know, regroup and bring the feelings into it, because emotions are, you know, messengers. It's energy. It's trying to communicate something to you. It's trying to say something really important. Our body and our emotions are talking to us, and we really need to do something, accomplish something with those emotions that are guiding us. So this is one of those moments where you really want to listen to your inner world, to your feelings. And this is a great moment to enhance your intuition as well, right? So yeah, Mercury is retrograde till January 18th. So be aware of that. We might have mobility problems, which means, you know, problems with the bus or the train or with your car. You know, you might not arrive when you want to. There might be some delays around mobility, and also around communication, right? You might offend someone where you don't mean to, or you might send the wrong message to the wrong person. You might delete something you didn't want to delete. Those are very mercurial things. Now, ideally, until January 18th, you do not want to buy electronic devices, because they might not be the way you want it to be. They might not be in full power. They might break down easily. And preferably not to sign contracts if you can, because you might overlook those details, you know. So apart from the lunation that's going on, we also have another pattern, which is called the yod, which is the finger of God. And that is pointing to the South Node in Scorpio. So it's saying there is magic and importance, again, in those emotions, and about releasing really toxic psychological patterns, releasing toxic emotions, and really detoxing your emotional body. And as I said, water is great. Working with water during this lunation situation is probably the best thing you can do. You know, whatever opportunities you have, you can have a foot bath, you can have a shower or a full bath, whatever you can, to help those emotions sort of get out of your body, right? So the yod is made with Chiron, again, really important during this lunation situation. And Mars in Gemini, who's retrograde, who's practically standing still, okay? Mars is at 8 degrees of Gemini, and is going direct January 13th, which is a Friday the 13th. This is quite significant. So wounds around the self, the way our mind has worked and the way we have used our mind to go after things, to, you know, how our mind has influenced our motivations, how our communication has influenced our manifestations. All of that is being reflected by Mars. And with this yod, it's saying that Mars is helping, right? Because of that reflection on the mind, is helping those wounds around the self. That makes sense, right? Because the mind is a big part around how we operate, meaning also our wounding. And then it's making an odd, uncomfortable, sort of hard to understand relationship to the South Node, which is all that we need to release, sort of. And again, as I said, those are just dense emotions that are holding us back. These are psychological patterns, again, that aren't serving us. But also, Scorpio is also attaching. So holding on, which is also the crab, by the way, holding on to things just because you want it the way it is. But that's not healthy. You need to let go, right? This Scorpio is eventually about letting go. So here, this yod, this magical finger of God is saying there is great power in letting go. And indeed there is. If you want to manifest anything, a really important aspect of that is letting go. That is creating space for something else to begin. And here we have the full moon theme. Full moon is endings, letting go. So something really significant about our emotional world, our psychological world, and also transforming the energy, the emotions, alchemizing our emotions is really important during this lunation situation. Even if you don't want to deal with a lot of things, trust me that this full moon will bring up those emotions to be faced, you know. Full moon digs it up just like Scorpio will. So a lot of little tiny details, extra details, is that the nose of fate, which is where we want to move towards, ideally, are T-squaring Venus, which means our planet of love and money is in Aquarius, which is having a free thinking, liberated view on love and money and our values. But it's very uncomfortable with where we want to go. So we want to go towards more independence and a natural life. And Venus is finding that not so nice because it's still, you know, North Node in Taurus is sort of a little bit selfish. It's like mine, you know, my future, my earth, my money, my independence, where Venus is like, yeah, but, you know, this can be for a bigger group. This can be for, you know, a community. This can be for the collective, for all the human beings. So there is a theme of bringing more liberation into the goals of your life and, you know, more freedom aspect, and challenging your values again. Challenging your values on money and love. And Venus is saying have a bit of a more unique and authentic approach towards that. Find your own way of what that means and make sure it's good, not just for you, but for a larger group, right? And Venus is also sextiling Jupiter, which is in Aries. So there's great passion for perhaps a new relationship. And also this can be beneficial for finances, or at least doing it very differently. Starting something that is unique, innovative, maybe technical, for a longer period and for the benefit of a bigger, wider group. So that's also possible. during this time. So that was the lunation situation for January 6th. I'll meet you in the next lunation situation where we are going to talk about the new moon in Aquarius. And remember that during this lunation situation, it is all about your intuition, about how you feel safe, about how to create a home, how to be comfortable in your own skin, and all your emotional needs and your needs to be loved and being taken care of as well. And if that is not possible through another person, then your safest bet is to be able to do that for yourself. So again, see you in the next lunation situation. Happy full moon.
It's a different year. It's a busy year. There's a lot going on. Not gonna lie, again, a lot of tension going on. We are all going to get our awakening experience. Maybe we're going to see the unseen. Maybe we're going to taste the unseen. So that's exciting.